Now, St. Boniface goes to the central region of Germany in a place that's called Thuringia. And there he goes to a small village, the village of Geismar. And he and his companions approach this village on Christmas Eve. And he goes to this village in particular because in this village was a huge oak tree that the pagans worshipped as the oak tree of Thor, the god of thunder. And they also, what they did at this tree was they gathered around it, and they would sacrifice children. They would have human sacrifices, mostly children, at this great oak tree. So St. Boniface knew of this. He knew of this tree. He wanted to go and to confront the pagans and to stop this human sacrifice that was going on at the tree. So he takes his companions, and on the outskirts of the city, or the village rather, he says, "Here," pointing down to the oak tree, "here is the thunder oak, and here the cross of Christ shall break the hammer of the false god Thor." Now the pagans in this village had boasted that the God of the Christians, the God of St. Boniface, in no way, shape, or form could ever destroy this great, magnificent, huge oak tree of Thor. So St. Boniface set out to prove that boast wrong. So he and his companions walk in the midst of this pagan assembly. He has an axe with him. He takes his axe and he strikes the thunder oak tree of Thor once. The tree cracks and falls down. And behind the thunder oak tree was a small little evergreen tree. And this is what St. Boniface said to the pagans. He points to the evergreen tree and he says, "This little tree, a young child of the forest, shall be your holy tree tonight." Remember, it's Christmas Eve. "It is the wood of peace. It is the sign of an endless life, for its leaves are evergreen. See how it points upward to heaven. Let this be called the tree of the Christ child. Gather about it, not in the wild wood, but in your own homes. There it will shelter no deeds of blood, but loving gifts and rites of kindness." So if you ever wondered where we as Christians get the whole tradition of a Christmas tree at Christmas time, it's from St. Boniface. It's not because there are a lot of evergreen trees hanging out in Bethlehem, right? Or that they're even recorded in the scriptures as there was an evergreen tree in the stable where Jesus was born. It comes from St. Boniface, his destruction of this pagan tree and his conversion of these pagans in central Germany to the faith, giving them in place of this oak tree, the evergreen tree, to use on Christmas to celebrate the birth of the one true God. And so again, we can see how St. Boniface even adopts the policy enacted long before by Pope St. Gregory on how to mission to the people. I mean, he did cut down the oak tree, but instead he put in place of the oak tree an evergreen tree. So he kept their custom, he kept the festival, but he Christianized it. Instead of worshiping the oak tree and committing human sacrifice at the oak tree, rather they would use the evergreen tree symbolizing Christ to acknowledge his one and for all sacrifice for all mankind. So it was just a brilliant move on St. Boniface. It was a great, great missionary.